looking at cataloging and classification of library materials. What is cataloging and classification? Cataloging and classification are processes involving systematic documentation and arrangement of the core bibliographic information of books and other reading materials, as well as classifying the information materials according to disciplines, area of knowledge, assigning required core numbers, following laid down standard and rules. Now, classification proper. It's more of grouping likely items together for easy identification, for easy retrieval and use. These are the processes that books undergo in the library in the course of classifications. Cataloging and classifications enhance easy location of information materials in the library. Without book being classified, it will be difficult for a library user to access the information resources he requires in the library. Library resources are of no use when they cannot be accessed by library users. Of course, when the books are there and people are not accessing it, it's more of useless. It is the function of library catalogs to provide access to library and information materials. Library catalogs provide access points to information resources in a library in a way that enables library users to locate the information resources they need. A library catalog is a list of books, documents, and other literary or academic work in a library. It is an index to library collections. A library catalog being an index to library collections, it enables users and even the library staffs to know the collections that are available in the library, and it also aids the users to access their information need. These are the advantages of classifying and cataloging library materials. Because without classification and cataloging, retrieval of information resources in the library will be so cumbersome. A library catalog is a list or register of all bibliographic items found in a library or group of libraries. A bibliographic item can be any information entity. For example, books, computer, files, graphics, media, cartographic materials. That is considered library material. The library catalog ensures that library collections are arranged according to some definite style. A catalog exhibits library resources through entries which could be under author, title, or subject. Now, most library catalogs uses author's name, title, or subject to catalog a library materials. This will enable the library users, those who might not know the name of the author, might know the title of the materials. Those who might not know the author's name and the title possibly must have known the subject. So in that case, you either go for the author or you use the title to search for such library materials. The library catalog ensures that library collections are arranged according to some definite style. A catalog exhibits library resources through entries which could be under author, title, or subject. When we catalog a book or other library materials, we enter information about the book into library catalog. That is listing the books, its author, topic, and subject area, so that when patrons are searching, they can find what they are looking for, or at least something that will help them find answer to their questions. Just as I said earlier, in the process of cataloging, a librarian is expected to consider the author's name, the title, and the subject. In most times, there will be an author's card, subject card, and title card. These are options for any library users to be able to access such resources in the library. Let's move on. Librarians put basic bibliographic information such as author, title, publisher, date of publication, basic physical information. That is physical descriptions, size, number of pages, information, illustration, if it has a bibliography or index format, and subject information. These are the areas of cataloging, and this enables librarians to identify the materials. These items are items that are needed in the process of cataloging. You cannot catalog a materials without the author's name, without the title, without the publisher, date of publication, and so on and so forth. Internationally, bibliographic description is the list of all the elements which are required to describe and identify all types of materials which are likely to appear in library collections. A bibliographic record can be defined as a collection of data, elements, organized in a logical way which represent the bibliographic items. And what are the data we are talking about? The author's name, the title, and the subject. Now we move to types and forms of library catalogs. Some popular types of library catalogs include card catalogs, book catalog, machine-readable catalog, and online public access catalog, OPAC. Card catalog. This is the most common and most used type of library catalog. Catalog cards are normally filed in a single alphabetical sequence or in a separate sections by author, title, and subject in long, narrow drawers of a special design filing cabinet. Now, in most university libraries or academic libraries, just as I said earlier, you will find a catalog cabinet where you can go in to retrieve the catalog card. And these catalog cards are filed in three forms: author's card, subject card, and title's card. This enables users to access their information resources. Now, book catalog. A book catalog lists bibliographic records in alphabetical order by various entries or by classification number. There may be more than one record on each page. The pages are then bound into cover, forming a book. That's why it's called a book catalog. It is in book format. It is not in card format, just like a catalog. It is in book format. Though most institutions don't make use of book catalog these days. There's another form of catalog. We call it machine readable catalog, MAC. MAC is a computer-based database of information resources in a library, arranged in a definite pattern. This has to do with computer-based catalog. It's usually arranged in a definite pattern. Currently, and most recent of it all, is Online Public Access Catalog, OPAC. Online Public Access Catalog is the most modern form of catalog. OPAC is the most efficient of all the catalogs. It is very flexible and can be easily updated. The records can be accessed through several points. Most universities have grown to the stage of making use of OPAC because OPAC enables users to access the information resources in the library 24/7. Anytime, anywhere, one can have access to the library resources via ICT, making use of OPAC. So OPAC is the most recent form of library classification. Library classification. Library classification simply means the arrangement of library information resources, books and non-books materials of a library or group of libraries into classes according to their similar characteristics. It is more of grouping likely items together for easy accessibility, easy retrieval, and use. That is what classification in libraries simply means. Library classification entails the division of the entire array of library information resources into groups, where you group them according to their similarities. That is what it means. Secondly, the subsequent arrangement of such groups or classes into preferred sequence. Next is creating mechanisms for their easy retrieval and when required. You create mechanisms for easy retrieval so that when you want to make use of such materials, it will be easy for you to locate and retrieve for use. The main reasons for carrying out classification in the library are to ensure optimal utilization of information resources by the intending users in the library. Library classification is essential because without classification, the search for the resources will be unguided, misdirected, and have hazards. Library classification enables books to be inserted into organized groups and allow for return of such books to their right location in the shelf for use. It's enormous. Library classification helps to save the time of the user by ensuring quick location and retrieval of resources. If it's not well arranged and organized, technically, such materials is lost. Library classification helps to enhance clear and proper guiding of the holdings of the libraries. When a library is classified, it makes the library to look unique, different, well organized for easy retrieval of information resources. Apart from easy retrieval of information resources, it looks beautiful when you get into the library to retrieve information resources. Looking at the arrangement of the materials, you will be moved. It will interest you to continue to make use of such library. Library classification schemes are logical arrangement of subjects plus a system of symbols representing knowledge into classes and further divisions and subdivisions done in line with the formats, rules, and principles of each scheme. In library and information science, there are two major traditional classification schemes used in most libraries in Nigeria. And these two well-known classification schemes are the Dewey Decimal Classification Scheme and also the Library of Congress Classification Scheme. Let's look at the Dewey Decimal Classification Scheme. This is one of the most commonly used classification schemes. It was founded by Navy Dewey in 1876, and the scheme was named after him. Now, this scheme are mostly used in public libraries. For instance, Enugu State Public Libraries. If you go there to access information, the scheme they use is the Dewey Decimal Classification Scheme. Many years ago, during my industrial attachment, I was part of those who classify the materials there. And we make use of the Dewey Decimal Classification Scheme because it's public libraries. Public and school libraries, most school and public libraries uses the Dewey Decimal Classification Scheme because they divided knowledge into 10 main classes. He grouped knowledge into 10 main divisions. Let's look at the second. The second classification scheme commonly used in Nigeria libraries is Library of Congress. This is the classification scheme used in academic libraries. For instance, the ESUT University Library makes use of Library of Congress classification scheme. Not just ESUT, every other universities around makes same use of LC scheme. It uses mixed. LC is different from Dewey because it uses mixed notation of alphabets and numbers in creating class numbers for library materials. The Library of Congress classification scheme consists of 21 classes displayed in over 40 separately published schedules. It accommodates, it gives room for expansion. And that is why academic libraries are using Library of Congress classification schemes, because it elaborates, it accommodates new knowledge. So you hardly will see any academic libraries in this country that is not using Library of Congress classification scheme.